Hey everyone, thank you for your patience. Been trying to load the video just using my phone, but it's taken forever. So I wanted to come on and use my computer so I can jump in and out of Google Earth and show you guys some photos. So when it comes to the New York Solve, we're looking at Joyce Kilmer Park, and that's in the Bronx. And we'll go through the entire solve, starting with why he would have chosen this particular park. Now, if you'll notice right here where my mouse is hovering over, this is called the Laurel Fountain. Now, the Laurel Fountain used to be down here on 161st Street. Now it's on 164th. This is the Grand Concourse, and this used to be the Grand Concourse Hotel. So let's jump into why he would have chosen this particular park, because it has to have some sort of immigration theory behind it. So I have some photos up here that I'm going to jump into as well, starting with the fountain itself. So this is called the Laurel Fountain. Let me drag this over so you can see. Now, the fountain was completed back in the late 1800s, and it was originally supposed to go to the creator's home city in Germany. It was declined. They wouldn't allow it because they found out that Hein was actually Jewish, and so they wouldn't accept the fountain into Germany. So they tried a few other countries, and nobody would take it, simply based off the fact that the gentleman was Jewish. And then in the early 1900s, New York bought the fountain and brought it to Joyce Kilmer Park. So there's the immigration connection. So the fountain itself is emblematic of immigration. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it simply because the person who created it was Jewish. And then New York, the Bronx, finally said, you know what, we're gonna take it, we're gonna put it in the park. Now, it used to be down here, now it's here, right in front of the county courthouse, which is also the Gray Giant. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the clues as we start the poem. So I'm going to jump down into a street view so you guys can see the Gray Giant. So if I spin around, right across the street from the park is the Bronx County Courthouse. The Bronx County Courthouse, they uphold the laws. If you break them, you're going to suffer the consequences. The Supreme Court is located here. So, I mean, you can kind of see, you know, they're the ruler of the land. They are the giant of the land. And then I'm going to bounce back out. So when you're standing in the shadow of the Gray Giant, whether it be on the steps or over here on the side, you can cross the street here and enter the park. And when you follow the path here, it takes you to the arm extended, which is the Joseph Heinz statue. So this is located, you can't see it because of the trees, but it's located right here. Okay, and there's a path that runs right up to it. Okay, so the Heinz arm extended, that's the second clue. And then we go into, in the summer, you can often hear a whirring sound. Now, whirring can be associated with clapping or cheering. It can also be associated with the machinery of some sort or a buzz. So, being that he was a baseball fan, if we go over one block, we find, oh, make sure I'm going the right way, Yankee Stadium. So during the summer, of course, you're going to hear clapping, cheering, which can also mean whirring. a whirring sound. So during the summer, you'll often hear a whirring sound. Cars abound. So if you go back to the park itself, as you can see, and I've been here several times, and I know that there's parking all the way around the entire park. Now, also just take a look at the shape of the park. When you look at the painting itself, right? We bring this down. I'm going to shrink it just a little bit here so we can kind of fit it in right next to it. All right, so as you can see, we have the roundness here. As we have the roundness here, we have the square edges of the park, which are here. The crashing waves down at the bottom of the Laurel fountain, is crashing waves. So there's a whole story behind that fountain. You can look it up and see why there are images of individuals at the base of these crashing waves. They're basically lured there, but I'm not going to get into all of that. Okay, so cars abound. Now, when it starts to talk about from the center of the V, you need to take twice as many steps as the hour. So we know in the painting it says 11 o'clock. So if we take that and we turn it into 22, or twice the amount, it starts to make a little bit more sense as we start to dive in here a little bit. So let me, all right, so if I zoom in, right, as you can see, the park is basically broken up into V-shaped sections. And I'm going to spin this around so I can get a better view of this. I want to look at it from a different angle. I want north up at the top. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Sorry guys, I just like everything even. Okay, so now we started at the Great Giant, we crossed the street, we took the slender path to the arm extended, which is right here. If you look on the painting, right, and a lot of people ask about like what these dots mean. And this is kind of a bad photo right here, but you can see a circle within a circle in just about every single one of them. So the circle within a circle, you can also find right here. So now this is the key right here. This is actually how you figure out what V to take and what direction. So this round circle you can't tell by looking at the Google Earth here, but what that is that's actually a poem written by Joyce Kilmer right here. And it's kind of hard to see because it's, it's just weathered a little bit, but it has the image of the trees right down to the roots. And then the poem is 12 lines long. I'm going to actually bring it up in a different photo so you can actually kind of see. So it's broken up into 3 sections. I'm assuming that's the 3 vols. The vols kind of threw me off a little bit, but 12 lines broken up into 3 sections. Now, in the poem, it says, it talks about rhapsodic man soil. Look down and see simple roots in rhapsodic man soil. So if you're standing here, you look down and see simple roots. So you're literally seeing, or you're standing on top of the poem trees. And you can of course see the simple roots. But it's a little tricky because he kind of plays it 2 different ways with the simple roots. And I'll get into that in just a second as well. So if you're standing here, one unique aspect of where this is located, as you can see, there's a path here, 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 and here, and they all intersect. If you're standing here, it's the only place that this circle can be where all of these paths intersect at some point. So it's a true center. Now, if we map out a line right here, this is one V, this is another V, this is a V over here as well. So from the center of one branch of the V, take twice as many E steps as the hour. So if we took a line and we drew that line from here directly through, that is 100% east. 100% east. Let me see if I can move some things around here so I can get my ruler. That's not what I want. Anyway, I'm trying to put a marker. Well, I'm not going to be able to here. So this is north, okay, slightly over to the side. This is the eastern line. So mark this little spot with a line. See if we can do that. And we drag it through, right? So I'm going to take it a little bit further than it really needs to be. But as you can see, right here, 90 degrees. So as you can see the heading right here, so that's going to be 90 degrees, that's east, okay? So that's cutting that V directly in half. So twice as many steps as the hour. If you take that at 22, everybody has a different stride. So if I'm 5'9" and you're 6'5", your 22 steps is obviously going to be different than my steps. You're not going to land in the same spot. So there's got to be a universal measurement for a step. And that just happens to be, let me show you here. All right, so 22 steps equals 55 feet. Okay, so remember that because that 55 is important. Okay, so 22 steps equals 55 feet. So how do we connect the baseball theme with that? So if we open this up, before the pitcher's mound was introduced in 1893, there was a 4 foot by like 5.5 foot box that was flat on the ground. Now the pitcher could put his back foot anywhere along the box, which was 55.5 feet from home plate to start his pitch. So twice as many steps or more. The or more is the half. So if you take the 55 and you go another half foot, so that should put you directly over where the cask would be. Now, if we run a line from where the palm trees 55 feet out, what it's going to do is it's going to put you on the GPS coordinates of 73, 55, 22. I'm not going to add the grid lines on here right now, but you can always go and check that out yourself by adding those onto your map if you like. But the line that crosses right across here, the GPS coordinates that cut this in half, right? Let me move this down a little so you guys can see. There we go. So we have 73 degrees, 55, and that'll actually be 22 when you're right on it, right about here, there. Okay, so 73 degrees by 55 by 22. So why is that important? if the latitude and longitude lines are running here and it lands on 73, 55, 22, 22 of course being twice as many steps as the hour, 55 being the number of feet from home plate to the pitcher's mound before that changed. And you also, if you measure from here to that latitude longitude line, it's exactly 55 feet. Now, if you do it from the center of the actual V itself, which there's a metal railing that comes right around here, I believe this is a shadow. From here to that latitude and longitude line is 22, okay, 22 feet. Okay, so it's 55 feet from here to here where you're standing when you're looking down at simple roots. But I always thought that he kind of like ended the poem with where you need to stand in order to figure it out. But then I realized when you cross the lines, right? When you cross the lines, let's say the latitude longitude line is running this way. Come on. Okay, so let's just say this is 73, 55, 22, which runs around the globe. And then if we take the line from here and we meet it where they meet together, if you look up the way that can be interpreted, it's considered simple roots. Simple roots. So if you look down and see simple roots in Rhapsodic Man's Soil, let's talk about that for just a second. So let's say we're back here and we're looking at the poem itself. So look down and see simple roots in Rhapsodic Man's Soil. It can be while you're standing here or when you're standing on top of the spot on top of the spot. So what is rhapsodic? A rhapsody is an epic poem that can be read from beginning to end in one shot, kind of like what we're seeing here. So it's an entire poem, and it's an epic poem because it's been taught in schools for years and years and years and years and years. I'd be very surprised if you guys have never heard of it, but in elementary schools it's taught quite a bit. So an epic poem in Rhapsodic Man's Soil. So what is man's soil? Man's soil is concrete, okay? God's soil is earth, dirt, rock, you know? But man's soil is concrete. So look down and see simple roots in Rhapsodic Man's Soil. So look down, see an epic poem in concrete. And that also goes in line with the natives still speak of him of hard word in 3 vols. So of hard word, the words are literally etched in stone. So it's literal. It's very literal. A lot of what he talks about is very literal here. Okay? So, or gaze north towards the Isle of B. And I know a lot of people have their own theories about what the Isle of B could possibly mean. So if we take the northern line, right, we follow it up, we end up coming right here, which is the Isle of B, which is, I think he used a little humor here when he did this, or I thought it was funny whenever I came across that and figured that part out. But let's jump down here, and then you'll also see what I mean by a couple clues that you can also find there. So this is the All Hallows School for Boys. All Hallows School for Boys. So he played around with the with the way he spelled aisle. So if you think of an aisle, if you're thinking of schools, you know, the kids sit in rows, there's aisles in between. So the Isle of B, this is an all boys school, and it's been that way for over 100 years. And it's as you can see right here, if we look at this image, right, and then we go back to the actual painting itself, obviously you can see the similarities in the two, right? Now the head turned, I think that they made that to appear to look like the Statue of Liberty, just to draw people towards New York and maybe even send them off a little bit. But the Laurel fountain's face is turned towards that direction like that. And then, let's see, the logo, let me see if I can find it. The logo for the All Hallows School for Boys, right? Take a look at this, right? So that is in the painting, right? And then the image for the school for boys, let me see where I put that. Bear with me one second. Here you go. So it's a little blurred, but trying to get the best image I can here. I could probably scoot over and show you. It's right here on the actual building, but I don't think I can zoom in enough. But I think you can see the similarities, right? So let me back out of here, get out of the street view. All right, so gaze north towards the Isle of B, which is right here. So now let's take a look at some of the images that you see when you're there. So I mean, I've been here 4 or 5 times, and I've tried to look around to find all of the different clues that were in the painting. And you're gonna want to make sure that you wait to the end of the video. I'll show you where you can find the name of Joyce Kilmer Park in the actual painting itself. But let's take a look at a couple images here. Okay, so we have the fountain, and then we have this image here where we see these little dealios or whatever they are. So across the street on top of the Grand Concourse, you have those, and then on the other side of the street you have the skinny one that's on the far right here, okay, in the painting. You have the gray giant, and this is what it looks like from where you're basically where the cast would probably be. I mean, I'm almost centered. This is not quite exactly where you would look, but as you can see, it's pretty massive. You can see where he would, consider it a gray giant. And here's a funny one. I thought this was pretty cool. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? This right here, right? This, right, is it's actually backwards. He does a lot of things backwards in here. So if you notice the 4 dots on the top and then what looks like a piece of a castle here, that is actually across the street over here on this side on one of the buildings. And the key really to kind of put a nail in everything, and everybody's going to doubt it, of course, but the flower is key. So just, I mean, it's kind of a lousy image, I know. Let me just shrink it down, see if it gets a little bit clearer. Not really, but so let's leave this here. Now you can find the name inside the flower. There we go. So let's put these next to each other. So the J is here, as you can see there. The O is underneath, right here. The Y is sideways, as you can see here and here. Okay. The C is down here on the bottom, and it's separated by a color change, as they don't quite connect right here. And then the color changes as the C ends on both sides. And then, of course, he puts the K backwards, which is right here. So Joyce K. So I always knew that the flower held some significance, and I didn't realize that the name of the park was actually in the flower at least a couple of months after I had kind of figured out everything else. And then once I knew that it was Joyce and I started to study this a little bit, I noticed the E first and then the J. And once I saw those two, everything else just kind of popped out. Joycek, Joyce Kilmer. Okay, so you have Joyce Kilmer, who wrote the poem Trees. It is an epic poem in concrete. So if we just kind of back up a little bit and just think about simple roots in rhapsodic man's soil, I think that is probably the key line in the poem. And you know, considering that you can find the name of the park in the flower, and you know, maybe you'll find maybe you'll see something else. Everybody sees what they want to see sometimes, but there's got to be a reason for that flower, and I'm pretty sure that that's probably it. Okay, so there's more to this. Let me bring up the painting one more time. I'll give you a couple other little tidbits here. All right, so the tan bottom, red top, that's actually the color of the buildings. So let me jump back down. So if you're standing, well, I can't put myself here, but I'll put myself over in front of the Grand Concourse. I mean, you can see it well from where you're at. And cars abound, as you can see. So if I got to turn. Oh, there we go. So tan bottom, red top. Okay. And then you can, of course, see the little, what they look like little urns are on the top here. Okay, let me get out and go back to my image. Okay. Inside of the dots, and it's really kind of hard to see. I'm trying to open this up a little bit, but the Laurel fountain used to be at 161st Street, and you can find the 1, the 6, the 4 inside of the dots. So it kind of hard to visualize it here, but the 1 is right here. I don't want to put a line here. The 6 right here, you can kind of see it a little clearer over here if you take a good look. And then the 4 is over here. See that kind of like little line that I'm drawing right there. So 164th, and then east right here is backwards. So it's east 164th Street. The face of the eagle or whatever kind of bird this is the logo for the All Hallows School for Boys. 11 o'clock gives you the 22, which turns into 55, which is the same number of steps that the pitcher's mound to the home plate used to be. The person here with the arms extended is above the door of the All Hallows School for Boys. And then, of course, the flower holds the name of the park. And then the entire painting itself really looks like the shape of the painting. And then him being such a baseball fan, adding those little baseball twists into it, right? Being right next to the Yankee Stadium, right? And there's, it's pretty cool because this is actually a duplicate or a mirror image of the stadium, which is right across the street over here. But I was originally thinking that it could possibly be here because of other baseball fields, but once I found the name in the flower, there was really no question about it being in this particular park. Okay, so really all you need to do is follow that east line from here, cuts this directly in half, and then the latitude longitude lines that run around the globe end up being right about here, about 22 feet in from here and 55 feet in from here. They both land on the same spot. And 73, 55, 23. If you look at some of the most famous baseball players in New York, you look at Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth. So the 7 and the 3, that was their numbers. The 55 is the number of feet from home plate to the pitcher's mound. And then the 22 is the number of steps. So that's my theory here. I mean, I do have a few other little nuances. I don't really think I need to go into them too much in this little video, but hey, I mean, that's kind of undeniable right here. So, you know, believe what you want, or you know, everybody has their own thoughts about what they think it could possibly be, but I haven't found a more precise location that matches everything. The shape of the building right here, I think, is probably, well, when you look at the painting, this one image here was always kind of confusing right here with the little square. I think that that's probably how the buildings are shaped, like right across the street, as you can see if you're looking at it from the top view. But that's kind of a guess on my part. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I would encourage you not to go and dig in the park, because I did get my metal detecting certificate for New York, and this park is not on the list. It's quite busy. I mean, there's, you know, people walking through here all of the time, and if you're chilling out right in here, it's going to be a little hard to dig a hole. Plus there are, you know, other laws that you have to abide by when doing this kind of thing. So I don't know if the fines that you could potentially face are worth going to try to dig this up. And I know some people that are going to see this are going to be like, he's wrong. Some people are going to be thinking, he may be right, and go try to dig some stuff up. I wouldn't, but I hope that it's here. I hope that somebody can get the proper permissions, and if somebody does find it, hey, hit me up, let me know. I would love to know whether or not my theory was right. It would be great to have the jewel, but I mean, it was fun just to try to figure out the solution. I like to figure out the puzzles and come up with the solutions, and I think that this is it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Any comments that you want to make, I'd be more than happy to address any of those. And you guys have a great day, and good luck in your hunt and your solves, and I hope somebody gets out there and pulls this thing out of the ground. Have a great one, guys. I'm Tony, and we'll see you.